Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on, good question, March 14th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. I've returned to this world and made it my life's journey to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you, as they continue to work for me, and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, in the background, we have Storm, our primary moderator, who makes sure all of the tech keeps running. And rest assured, with my world, that takes a lot of work. Okay, he's also the one that makes sure that we don't have problem children in the house. Okay, then we've got LA Moon, who really helps manage to keep the conversation going from time to time. Not to mention the fact she keeps real close eyes on my health. I don't think she wants me dying on screen. Maybe off screen, but on screen might be a problem. Although it would be a showstopper, especially if I got up again. But today we're looking at a very simple question. What can you learn from near-death experiences? Now, we all talk about oh, I had a near-death experience. I saw the light. I was heading for the tunnel, and then I got sidetracked. I get there, they keep closing the toll booth and saying, no, go home. You're not allowed. But here's the one thing, there's a couple of things about near death. Okay, when you are looking at it, the first thing you find out, and they did get this part right, when you die, oh, there you go. Ellie goes, it's a one-trick pony. I don't want to deal with it. Rest assured, I ran out of the one trick a long time ago. But when you die, you do get to go through your entire life in the flash of in the blink of an eye. Thing is that you go through it experiencing what everybody else experienced through you. In other words, if you have been beating on people your whole life, stealing from them, lying to them, hurting them in any fashion, you're going to feel every kick, every bite, every bullet wound, all at the same time. This is why many people, when they die, they've got this real terrible image on their face, look on their face, kind of like the 1970s Scanners movie, where they're all twisted out of shape. But the thing, and if you've spent your life being nice, patting people on the back, giving them encouragement, this sort of thing, what ends up happening is you end up experiencing all the hugs, the handshakes, the pats on the back, all of this at once. Net result, some people will end up passing away with a smile on their face or totally relaxed. But one of the best advantages I found with the near death is when that happens, you're getting bits and pieces of it. In my case, I got very little left to worry about when I die. Okay, because if you see your entire life when you die, okay, and let's say you were born and you don't die until you're 50 years old. Well, you got 50 years of whatever you were up to. Now, this can be enjoyable depending on who you are, or it may be really problematic. In my case, I checked out at birth, I checked out at 2, checked out at 5, checked out at 8. I just kept checking out early. Net result, I got little bits and pieces of it. Now, I'm sitting here looking at the world going, I'm completely cynical and not impressed. But, hey, what the heck? But one of the things you also get the option of, depending on how far in you get warnings. This is where you're heading. Now you can change your life. if you're getting thumped on when you're getting ready to pass away, sometimes it sinks in that this isn't a good path. Okay, that's one of the biggest things you get. You also get that other neat little thing of getting to see what other people think of you. Because the ones that are happy with you are right there giving you, shaking your hand, welcoming you in, or turning, taking you by the shoulders, going, not your time yet. We'd love to see you, but back out you go. But the fact is, sometimes what'll happen is you get this new image of what you're capable of doing. Which, from my standpoint, boils down to not a bad setup. The other thing that you also get the option on, some people may have talked about having gotten through the light and met with their loved ones, met with some of the people that passed on, been given a message, and turned around and come back, which gives you the clear option of moving forward. Okay, picking a new direction, maybe starting a new career. And yes, I realize we just said you died, or you got to that tunnel. Thing is, if you don't die, that's why they call it a near death. Okay, I gave up on the near thing. Oh, so they sent you back. Well, look at the bright. LA goes. The last time I tried to check out, my only thought was I wanted to kiss Storm one more time. Well, they hesitated the option. Either send you back or kill off Storm. And, well, let's face it, Storm's got a restraining order, so he can't go. So that simple wish got you pushed backwards. But the thing that I find every time that I talk to somebody about that is you tend to get this renewed idea of, I've got so much I'd like to experience that I haven't done yet. So it does tend to bring people in with a slightly better push, a slightly more rejuvenated side of it. And the one thing we got to remember where it comes to near death is death is not where it ends. It's only another stepping stone. So the reality of it is, from your end, I would strongly suggest, and I know this sounds like a really bizarre idea, but welcome to my world. Make a list of the things you'd like to ask when you get over there. Now, the good news is you don't actually have to take it with you, which is a good thing, because once you write it, your soul is going to remember it. So this is one of the advantages of it, is you can get the list together of things you really would like to ask. When you start to go over it, it's like, look, before I go, I require answers. I suggest you don't bother worrying about who shot JFK. Okay, he doesn't worry about it anymore. The other thing that near death can do for you is it gives you a clear option to look at your own body. Now, some of you may not like the way your body looks, but when you die, you get to look at the inside of it. And by doing that, you can assess what changes you personally are able to make to get your health a little better. Because most people, when they come back from a near death, come back with a literal renewed sense of, I got so much to do, I got so many things I'd like to do before I die, and I just about hooped it. So this just gives you an option of restarting your life at whatever age it is you passed. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that either there, Ellie. You might get an answer, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. You know, most of the time when you're going through a near death, okay, the things you focus on are the things that you have control over when you get back, and that can be a challenge. You know, so it really does boil down to an issue of looking at the world and going, I nearly died, so let's make the most of what we got left. Very important if you're going to turn your life and really start to enjoy it. You know, most people don't quite get that though. You know, so many people are taught you gotta fear death. Okay. But realistically, I mean, I've seen the light quite often. You know, and I always get a kick out of it because there was one time I was going down and I saw two different lights. One looked like a neon spotlight. The other looked like a an old wood burning stove. I figured the spotlight was a better option. Of course, I get a little confused when I get over there. So yeah, I found if you can figure out how to do it, it's worth it. If you can figure out how to take the spotlight and lean it into the furnace, it's a great stay. It's a great shocker for the other people. But when we're looking at near death, okay, understand it just means you got close. Okay, now some people say you can't have a near death without your heart stopping. Well, I'm not going to tell you to take my word for it. I'll tell you to do your own research, but be careful on that one. Let's not try a repeat event like they did with Sometimes They Come Back. Okay, when I say do your own research, talk to people about it. Don't experience it. It's not always cut out to be, I'll tell you that. You know, one of the things we got to remember is death itself is not something to fear, but it is something that is going to happen to pretty much everybody. You know, one of the other things that you find with near death is because you come back with a real sense of, I got stuff I haven't done yet that I really desire to experience. You get that added drive, but on top of that, your renewed sense of life quite often will inspire other people around you to actually enjoy life more. You know, all in all, that can be a bit of a challenge. You know, because most of us, we're going through life, we're taught, you know, the way to enjoy life better is cut back, cut back, cut back, watch your spending, cut back. I don't know about you, but I do not find that all that enjoyable. Okay, when you get over to the other side, yeah, LA goes minus stop for anywhere from a minute or so to nearly 5 minutes. Tell you, mine, you know, and this is one of those competitions we really shouldn't have. I'm pretty certain that I hold, you know, I'm pretty certain that I hold close to a world record. Without getting buried, I got to the morgue. Now, most people don't get buried and then shipped to the morgue. But, you know, the reality of it is when you have a near death, one of the things you'll notice that some of you will notice is you actually get to see the way other people care about you. Because many people have ended up on their deathbed with family standing all around them when they passed. Yeah. Ellie goes, my biggest thought after all of that was, how can I get back there? That's easy. Die. But remember the song from MASH. Suicide is painless. Don't kid yourself. It's not. You know, I mean, I keep looking at this whole idea of going over there going, well, this is kind of like a revolving door. You walk in one side, turn around, walk back out. The biggest thing with near death is if you pay attention to the fact that you got there, it gives you a real push to actually take care of your health a little better, or to go on that trip that you kept putting off. It gives a sense of inspiration. That's the word I'm looking for. Because so many people, they take a look at death and they go, oh, I nearly died. Now I gotta be really, really cautious. Okay. I was talking to a chap, it was funny than heck, really. 103 years old. Right. When he was about 80, he said he was about 83, 84. And he had been living a very sedentary life. So he come back, and all of a sudden he took up skydiving. Okay. I asked him why he would do that, and he goes, well, he literally looks at me and goes, well, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die on my terms. Which I can't blame him, really. Yeah. And he goes, nah, unaliving myself isn't really a thought at this point. Am I to suspect that that word is actually a bad word now? The one I use, I mean. The fact of the matter is, while you're alive, okay, there are all kinds of opportunities to experience different things. But once you pass away, that's the end of it for this lifetime. I like the way it was put. I saw it put on a bumper sticker one day. Okay. And that bumper sticker said, those of you that don't believe in God, better pray you're right, that live your life as though God doesn't exist, have better pray you're right. But from my standpoint, I just look at the options that come up. If you pass away and you manage to get back here without getting clocked out totally, make the most of the life you've got. Okay, enjoy it as best you can, experience as much as you can get away with. I strongly recommend following the local laws. Because I don't know about you, but I don't do the vertical bar scene well. The really neat part about a near-death experience is that it's not a permanent thing. It is literally a glimpse of what you're going to go through later. This is why pay attention to them. But understand, near death, depending on what caused it, is usually indicative of a much bigger problem. So it might be wise. Whoop. Oh, okay, I know what. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to explain at this point. Okay, but LA's just letting us know that YouTube would prefer we not use harsh terms like the S word and the F bomb, the M word, cursing. Just avoid them and YouTube won't get their knickers in twist. Yeah, it's amazing. Let's face it, I do my best, but thanks for the heads up. The odd part about it is this is why so many people fear things. Is we're not talking about them. Now, of course, it's hard to find somebody that has actually been to the light and come back. Yes, there's a lot of them, but most people don't talk about it much. And the one thing I found out was when you get over there, there's a lot of people over there I don't ever want to see again. And they're already over there, so I'm going home. That's the twisted part about it. I used to get chastised in elementary school because I wouldn't go outside. And the teachers would go, "Why won't you go outside?" And I'm like, "That's where all the people are." I still am that way inclined. I still avoid connecting with people and getting out of my house, primarily for the same reason. Oh, okay. That's why I didn't recognize it. The reality of it is the one thing to really pay attention to when it comes to a near death. Okay, is understand if you get to the other side, it's not a near death, it's a death. Okay, and yes, there's a lot of people that get to the other side, get to look around at the decor, and go, this is hope. Now, it does work for the most part for the better. But there are cases, and I bore witness to one in particular, where the guy ended up on the far side. He was a really nice chap, gets to the other side, and finds out that he's going to be going to a very peaceable place. Comes back and starts being an absolute doorknob just so he can get to the party in the basement. And yeah, the neat part about it, where it comes to beyond the light, okay, is very simple. It's another way of looking at the world. It's not really that different from here, aside from temperature variations. One of the other things you have to look at. Here's a couple of things that I will tell you come in real handy. When you pass away, I will tell you, you do meet a lot of your loved ones. Now, here's the kicker. Most of you are going, I get to meet family members or really close friends who passed away. Most of you don't realize you also get to meet your favorite pets. Maybe you had a plant that you were really attached to. Okay. Or maybe it was simply goldfish. Okay, but it doesn't matter what it is. You get to meet if it's got a sentient bone in its body, you get the option of meeting them. Or more to the point, they get the option of meeting you. Okay. And sometimes that's all it takes, because you get over there and all of a sudden you get the answer to why something went wrong, or I can't, I was fighting for my life. I ended up passing away on the table, came back and knew exactly where the other will was written, where it was stored, because, Uncle Bob told him. The other thing about past lives is this. If you don't go all the way over and you get a chance to look at when you look at your near death, you actually at that moment have access to your past life memories as well. And therefore you can come back thinking, and people have done this. I know one case in particular where a young lady, she was a British lady. Okay. She went and she spoke just English. When she came back, she spoke, if I remember correctly, she spoke either Sud-Afrikaan or Yiddish. I know, great deal of difference between the two places. Point being, she can no longer speak English. Okay, now that's not a real beneficial side, but that one she lost English. I've run into people where they had a near death and suddenly were speaking another language completely fluently. Okay, now if you look into the story of Daniel Brinkley, he was an absolute doorknob when he was a young adult. Then he died and became a prophet. Basically, he started telling people about the spiritual world and showing them about the spiritual world. Okay, so near death gives you a whole new lease on life. The nice part about it is you get to make several runs at it on occasion. Now, I recommend only make the one run, because it does scramble things. Okay, like it does scramble memory patterns. One of the other things you can learn is when you're on the other, as you're sitting there, because the length of time you're over there is a little bit, it's not, you're over there for a minute or two. Okay, you can be over there for a lifetime in during a near death. Ellie's going, I had a client who was afraid to go because she was afraid that her abusive father would be there. She was terrified. Are we required to see the people we don't wish to? Not at all. Okay, if in this lady's case, she would never see her abusive father. Okay, she may somewhere down the road while she's in transit reconnect with him and come to an arrangement to clear that negative energy in a new incarnation. But you absolutely do not have to see the people you don't like. And just to be clear, the fact that you do desire to see them doesn't necessarily mean that they're in a position to meet you. But you can bet your bottom dollar somebody will be. You know, one of the things I do recommend is when you're getting close to that time, think about the questions you would like to have answered. Because here's the kicker. While you're going through that, you're getting set to go over permanently. And I'll use that term loosely. If you've got an idea as to what you'd like to know, you can have that all orchestrated, all set in motion for before you die. Okay, the hard part of it is realizing that when somebody is going through that transitory position, the people on this side seldom can communicate with them. I would love to know why my eyesight is all over the place. I know what the problem might be. Where are we? Oh, way over here. I just got a little sidetracked is all. Oh. That might do it. Is that really as bad as I thought? Yep, pretty much. Okay, well now that I know that problem. Neat thing about a near death. Oh yeah, I did. I had dinner. Actually, I quite frankly had half a chicken right before I came on air. But my body's been going through a complete rewrite. Not only the physical side of my world, but my brain as well. With the mess that I just went through. In a sense, it was like a minor death. Not like the minor death in the deck of many things. Okay. But that's out of D&D, by the way. No, the reality is that my whole system has been changing because of the stress I've been going through. Now, near death has a couple of real advantages. Okay, and that is it gives you a chance to assess the way your life has been going. Have you been following karmic law? If not, how much time do you have? And that one might be a little complicated. How much time do you have to get back on the proper track? Okay, now that said, once you know what you've been doing, what you're heading for, when you come back, you can swap like that. It doesn't require that 21 days to learn how to break a habit or how to make one. Many people have come back knowing a particular skill they've never even experienced before. So again, this is just one of those things. You know, this is just one of those benefits of a near death. Just turned on the fan because, well, frankly, temperature's climbing, which may be part of the problem. Not going very far, but there is this neat little habit of mine of creating a complication, and ignoring it is not a good idea. Oh. Temperature's a problem, but not my thermostat. Thing with near death is you can utilize it, and quite often the biggest thing it does for people is motivates them to change their life path and enjoy life a little more. I'm just looking at that. I really got to do something about my posture, don't I? But no, it's very important when you're looking at things to understand there's so much you can work with life. Okay, there's so much you can experience. What do we got? Ellie's going, it's cold here, windy, dusty, and generally unpleasant. Well, see, this is when you grab a kite with a key on and run outside. See if you can get a shocking revelation. But we were a balmy 2 degrees here, which is just around the 40 mark, a little less than. Okay, really nice and warm compared to what it was the last few days. But one of the things I look at where it comes to near death is it gives you a moment to reassess your own life. Are you content to stay with the path you're currently following? Okay, like if you're happy with the way your life is going, absolutely. Okay, absolutely move forward with it. I believe there's a song that goes, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Okay, there's a whole lot of variations. Some of them get a little twisted. Okay, but near death literally means you have a new option. You got a new experience level you can work with. And it is recommended that you pay attention to them, not so much to what other people said went on. Okay, take a look at what you remember and utilize that to become a better version of you. Okay, one of the difficult. Where are we here? LA's going, our NDE used by the universe to put people back on track. Not to put them back on track, but to give them the opportunity to get back on track. Okay, basically it boils down to this. They're going to show your life up to this point. Then you'll get to see where it can go if you decide to put it to use. Just love that. But it is something that was set up so that people would take a step back and basically figure out what they're seeing, what they're looking at. Because the reality is you can't make a proper decision without actually knowing where you're heading. You can certainly gamble on it, but what I keep getting shown, okay, is that when you get that opportunity, take advantage to see the way the world is. Because here's the other thing that I've heard many people with a near-death experience go through. They get to witness the lives of the people around them that they're leaving behind. Sometimes that's all the motivation. Because I'll tell you, I have talked to some pretty depressed spirits that didn't realize they were cared about. Okay, with that in mind, if you are starting to feel that you're going to be, you got a problem, like for instance, your heart's in trouble. And I'm not talking about your emotional one, I'm talking about your physical one. Okay, if you feel your heart is in trouble, this is when you start looking at the options you've got available. Why, pray tell? Oh, that's what that is. I'm looking at this light on my laptop going, what is that? But utilize the energy of the near death to fuel the energy of a new life. Okay. So you're looking at an NDE versus an NLE. Okay. But this is the time to start really looking at your life and going, are you content with the world you're leaving behind? Have you, the idea on the whole, the coming year is to leave this world in better shape than it was in when you arrived. Okay, that came out well. But near-death experiences are literally, they were put in to cause the individual to look at the way their life was going. Okay, instead of just carry on the path you're on. Of course, if you're content with your current path, then absolutely stay there. However, I will tell you, the massive majority of people I've spoken to that have had near-death experiences, quite frankly, are not happy with their life and therefore are quite willing to set up a training regime in order to get back on a decent track. This can be complicated, to say the least. The other thing, when you're on the other side, okay, is you can literally make contact with people that have already passed away and thank them. And you'll notice I said thank them before you drop the option on the table. Thank them for returning, for touching base with these people, looking in on them, with the ones that you don't want to disconnect from. Okay, there's a lot of liaison work that the people that have passed on do. Well, where are we? Here we are. LA's going, I've seen where people have had a close call and changed their entire lives. I've also seen them happen and the person gets silly to try and circumvent their destiny to do things all wrong. Well, and do things all wrong. Here's the thing. You are going to die. Every one of you. And at some point you're going to stay that way. So, recommendation is make the most of the life you've got. Okay? Yes, you will get another run at it, but not with these same people. Okay? People tend to reconnect with people from their past lives in this one, but there's a limited amount of room to work with. So it's just a thought that you might desire to avoid the ND. One of the biggest challenges I run into is meeting somebody that died came back, and nobody could deal with them because they didn't recognize this renewed energy. Because the person in question came back, and now they've got their health back, and they've got the ability to maneuver. This is where our work as mediums comes in. Okay, yes, it is likely you'll run into somebody that has passed before you. Okay, very few people get the option of running the other way. But when you're looking at your current world, okay, really important, imperative to recognize you've got dominant control over it while you're alive. Okay, if you choose not to utilize that, that becomes your issue. But I strongly recommend you, and this is one of those things, controlling it's a bad idea. That's why I recommend against lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is great as a tool, but to get the actual absolute insight that you're seeking is going to require, guess what? It's one of these things that you look at going, what can I do to make my life more enjoyable? Or to reconnect with people, or to warn people that what they're up against or what they're aiming at doing doesn't look like it's got a good outcome. You know, debatably, the most challenging aspect of a near-death experience is helping people understand this is a real event. It has real side effects. Okay, and yeah, you may come back with new skills. I've seen many people come back fully telepathic and yet not able to communicate. Okay, until they were given a modern day tool. This is a chance for you to make your life, scratch that, it's a chance for you to mold your life into something you would rather your life look like. Now, I will tell you the one thing that does not change when you pass away, okay, is your weight is not going to alter appreciably. You know, one of the biggest aspects with this is take advantage of the scenery, because when you go to that new lake, okay, there is a slight current through it. But it's up to you to decide how are you going to live the rest of your life. Okay, instead of how am I going to get back at this person, take a look at the rest of your current life. You know, near death, you know, the reality is death isn't technically final, but it is for this lifetime. So, when somebody shows up and he's looking to, if you will, looking to straighten their life out, if you've had a near-death experience, many people wake up with a new insight. Yeah, and that's just it. See, when LA's looking and going, I've seen where the psychic gifts get incredibly strong. Here's the kicker. Every time you have a severe trauma, it's going to kick your energy levels and your psionic ability up. Now, here's where it gets trippy. Okay, do what you will with that. But where it comes to the whole issue of the near death, okay, understand it's near death, meaning you go back, go on, and live a normal, exciting life. Or a real boring one, flipping bottle caps into a coffee can. Not the most enjoyable pastime, but it did work. You know, one of the things that we have to realize is everybody has a past life. Sometimes, most of the time, it'll be human. If you're human now, most of your incarnations are going to be human. Reason for that is because that's the body operating system you know. So it is one of these things where you really have to look at it and go, I'm going to die. Now, in the event that my body doesn't give up completely, how do I go about turning my life? And that's where talking to people on the other side come in. Okay? Because if they know that you're after that thing, they're going to help you in all likelihood because they want to know too. But near death, simply the biggest thing it gives you is motivation to strive to experience other things. Now, I cannot tell you, if you will, I can't give you a better way of looking at that. Not that I'm aware of. But I will tell you, having done it multiple times, it's not either as bad as it could be, nor is it as good as it can be. Both are within your wheelhouse. Both are in the event of somebody going missing. Show up. Okay, now the near-death experience, many times you run into people, I have no idea where that came from, so don't ask. Many people, when they pass, reconnect with a loved one, and here's the neat part there. If a loved one passed away before giving the information back, sometimes what they'll do is pass it on to somebody that's getting close. Okay, give them a new piece of information. Go, I know you went down that cave. Now, when you get to the bottom, yes, it looks like it only goes to the right, but feel around. There is another passage. Okay, and you find this quite often with essentially treasure hunting with the dead. Okay, and that's because most people don't realize what the options are. Ellie goes, are we destined to do the same mistakes over and over? Or can we make that karma better and avoid all that? Well, number one, no, you are not destined to make the same mistakes over and over again. You get the enjoyment of making all brand new ones. As far as the issue of can you change it? Well, you can't change what you did, but every moment you're alive from that point on, and in all fairness, from that point before, everyone you know, everything you've seen, doesn't have to be rebuilt. Okay, it literally is personal choice. So from your standpoint, no, you're absolutely not forced to repeat it. There are some times where, and I'm sure you're aware of these, where somebody didn't have the near death after they thought they were going to. Now, the one in particular that I'm thinking of literally took his entire life and turned it around, because during his near death experience, the only thing that was black and white was him. So instead of just focusing on that, okay, he turned around and went, nope, I'm doing it my way. Now, understand, there are rules in everything, and I'm a lousy one to talk to about it, but even in the issue of death, you still have that obligation to pass on the word. You'll pass on the idea. And that's where people from your near death come in real convenient. Okay, people you run into on the other side quite often will have a message from somebody that's gone on before them. And that's where it becomes kind of trippy. Okay, because anybody can be beaten to a pulp. Anybody at all. But it takes a very special somebody to draw a man's attention from from that near death. And it takes a lot to turn their life around. But you'll find with many people with near death is that they have learned how to take care of certain other aspects that they may well have forgotten. And again, this boils down to when your heart stops, all of the information that went in comes out. And this means you've got the opportunity to change what your life is looking like. Oh, that's what that is. The hardest part about it is that with a near death, you've got to be prepared that you may well simply end up in the system again. Are we really down to that? So if you have a near death, or if you've had one in the past and haven't done anything with it, take this moment to really look at where your life is and ask yourself, are you content? If the answer is yes, this is great. If the answer is no, then it's time to do something about it. And that literally boils down to making up your own mind that you're going to live a more fulfilling life. And we are down to 10 minutes. Thanks so much for the warning there, Ellie. And amazingly, we didn't actually get done what we should have gotten done. So, not that. Okay. I'm thinking tomorrow we start with the whole idea of reorganizing your life. Okay. Let's go from the idea of, okay, your life went on, you had your life the way it was, but now you died. Okay. And now you got this whole list of things you'd like to actually get done before you die again. This is where you start getting organized. Okay. And the funny part about that, not really that funny when you think about it. Before I was 10 years old, I'd already died at least 7 times. Okay. But what I did find out above all else was you're in control of your life, both here and in the hereafter. And I know there's a lot of religious people that'll go, oh, you're talking sacrilege. And no, I'm talking ownership. Okay. So it really is that neat concept that it's time for you to change the way your life is working. Now, this neat little individual you ran into. What I did with him is anybody's guess. Where are we? Okay. No idea where that went, but that's okay. So, when you're looking at a near-death experience, understand the critical factor. Okay? The critical factor is that you've got to have both hands on the wheel. Okay, of your life, not of somebody else's. So, when things take a little bit of a hiccup, take a look at the junk food around you. Okay, in the primary store that you go to. Take a look at it. There's nothing wrong with utilizing it. Okay, but there is something wrong with squandering your life. Okay, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when this place was taken over, the bodies were moved to another much more secluded area. And the reason for the seclusion is so that when you get over there, you're not dealing with overwhelm, if you will. The most challenging part, quite frankly, of dealing with near-death experience is the fact that most people won't believe you. Okay, do not worry about that. Okay, because most of the time you get the opportunity again. So, what say we focus on the positive side of what we can do and minimize the concentration on the negative? And yes, that means I'm telling you, with all the reports that have gone out, the one thing that you have that hasn't been looked at is what do you do when that extra spirit shows up and goes, hey, I want to move into your body. That is where the whole contract thing comes out. Okay, is that you're told this is how much money I've got to work with, and now I'm not getting any. There's a problem in my eyes. Okay, but there is this other neat little thing that enables you to literally refocus your energy and thereby cross things that you couldn't cross. And what I mean by that is maybe you've been trying to get past a certain obstacle and you just haven't found a way to do it. If you haven't had a solid way to do it, then mimic the people that have or mimic the animals that have. Kind of an important lesson in that one. Okay, because one of the biggest challenges you run into is the question of self-worth. Well, if I was worth more to people, I wouldn't have ended up dead. Bad news. Okay, the fact that you couldn't protect them from them is normal. Do you love when my eyes do that? Now, one of the other things we gotta realize is there are some magic papers. There are things in life now. In our world where we're alive, there are limits to what you can do. In the partners or in the life guide standpoint, they don't get that option. But it does feel like that message is actually better able to be utilized than what it's been being used. Let us see. Oh, there we go. Now, with that in mind, I'm just getting told we're under 5. So, to start with, thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. Really appreciate it. Okay, tomorrow we will be back, but tomorrow we're going to go deal with kickstarting your life, kickstarting your new life. Let's just pretend we all had a near-death experience. Now it's time to put it into motion. Okay, this is where we're heading. Now, until that point, now I've already done my best to check around. Okay, now is the time. Rachel, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Let's all pray that, let's all pretend we had a near-death experience. Because tomorrow, we're going to show you hands-on, and those that participate will get that much more out of it, hands-on, how to change your life from where it currently is to where it's going to end up landing. Okay, this is the gift that ND gives you, is the gift of insight into your own motivations. Lord knows, I took almost 20 years to figure out how to use that filing cabinet from my standpoint, how to use it to make my current life better. And that's the whole kicker to it. Okay, it's one of these things that we can have control over if we decide we desire it. Okay, now, that said, I do want to say a very special hats off to all of you, okay, or as some people down there say, all y'all. Never understood that. But when you got life, okay, make the most of it. We are down to our last minute here, so with that in mind, I will see you again tomorrow, 9 p.m. PST. Okay, until then, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay